Hey guys, this is Tauna. Today we're going to be talking about the best commons or uncommons slash, notable commons and uncommons from the upcoming Avatar: The Last Airbender set. Because, I think it's important to talk about these super budget cards that are going to be coming out. As with most sets, there's some normal variations of cards that we've seen before, but with some that are slightly better than previous versions that we've seen, including, I think, potentially one of the best mana rocks that we've seen, or at least in my opinion, an amazing mana rock. So I'm going to be focusing on generally generic cards. So, I'm not talking about stuff that's like, ally, tribal, kindred, or lesson-based decks or anything like that. Just stuff that can potentially fit into a whole bunch of different decks. Now, if you guys are looking to pick these up, we have become an official affiliate with Manapool, so you can head on down to the description or to the comments, and you're going to be able to click the link there, and that's going to support the channel. They have one of the best optimizers in the industry when you put in a deck list and want to optimize the stuff, either for the best prices or the least amount of packages to come to you. They've got good prices, amazing stuff, and if you make a purchase, you can also get a daily free gift for the next 30 days after you make that purchase. They've also got native integration to a whole bunch of stuff. Overall, just one of the best, in my opinion, places to buy cards. Unfortunately, US only, which I'm a bit disappointed over here in Australia, but they are looking amazing so far. All right, let's get into it. The first one here is the Bender's Water Skin. As I said, about one of the potential best mana rocks that we have ever seen, besides the ones that are, mana positive and stuff. So, I'm not including Soul Ring here, and I'm not including what is it? Wow, my brain's working. Arcane Signet. Because Arcane Signet costs 2. This is going to cost you 1 more, right? It's going to cost you 1 more, which is, I think, okay. In the positive that you can untap this artifact during each other player's untap step. In Commander, I think this is insanely strong, especially if you are in a blue deck, because, how many different, cards that can you flash out, play at instant speed, or even counter spells, right? This allows you to be able to use and keep your mana up for your counter spells constantly. I don't know how well this is going to go reprinted in the future beyond the actual Avatar set because of the name, Bender's Water Skin. It should be okay, I think, if they introduce bending in a different actual magic plane. But either way, this is going to be a common. You're going to be able to pick it up, and I think that honestly it is an amazing mana rock. I don't know, rivals a whole bunch of other mana rocks in my opinion. All right, next up we've got Cycle of Renewal. So this one here is like a Harrow, right? Harrow, sacrifice a land, search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Now, the good thing about this is it is a lesson. In Commander, not incredibly useful because we don't have learn abilities and stuff like that. Outside of Commander though, very useful if you are doing some kind of constructed that consists of a sideboard, then you can use it. But either way, an additional kind of, more of these kind of Harrow effects I think are great. It's just going to ramp you up. You're paying 3 to get 2 lands out. Now they do have to be basic lands, but if you've got a deck that synergizes around anything to do with graveyard, whether your lands are in the graveyard or what, Wind Grace, Yuma, those kinds of decks, the new precon for Edge of Eternities as well, the World Shaper precon, this goes really well in that. It's just going to allow you to be able to kind of ramp up, mana fix yourself, and in my opinion, is just, good to have more versions of this. Next up, we've got the Origin of Metal Bending. Now, this one here I saw, and I'm like, is it just me, or is this really strong? So, you can play it, and it is a modal spell, right? You can choose one of the 2 modes. You can either destroy target artifact or enchantment, which I think is relatively great. In a green deck, you're typically paying around 3 for that, or, there's some that are cheaper than that, there's Naturalize and stuff like that, which is fine to just pay, 1 green for it. But again, this is a lesson, so outside of Commander, great. If you're building constructed somewhere else, great. If you've got learn abilities, or if you've got other synergies with it. But the second part of it I like here as well. This means that it is not a dead card in your hand, in my opinion, which is really great, because if you get say a Naturalize or something like that, where it's destroy, I think it's Naturalize, destroy target artifact or enchantment, right? So in Commander, there's probably going to be something useful for that. But this one here, you can use it for either of its abilities. You can also put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, and it gets indestructible until end of turn. So you can use it to protect your stuff. You can use it to remove something of the opponent's. I just really like the fact that it allows you to do both of those two options. That's the great thing about this as well. It's instant speed. Both of these are instant speed as well. That's probably important to note, especially with this one here, because you can do it at the end step of someone just before you. All right, next up, we got Deadly Precision. So this one here is a take on like the normal kind of black removal spells, right? It's just pay 1 black to destroy target creature, and then in addition to that, you have to do something else. So with this one, you can either pay 4, not great, or you can sacrifice an artifact or creature. That one there, I think, is good. Now, I'm not saying this is the best black removal. There is better black removals out there, but if you're in a deck that has artifacts, has like artifact tokens and stuff like that, has creature tokens, has anything that you don't care about dying and stuff like that, this is going to be good. And you're in black. There is just going to be so many different cards that you can potentially bring back, or, you know, it doesn't matter that you kill them off and stuff. Like, I just really like this card. I don't think, again, it's the best black removal, but I do think it's a black removal if you're in a budget deck to keep an eye out for. Also, the art is absolutely amazing here, showing May throwing the darts at, like, you know, it's just really great. I really, really like it. All right. Next up, we've got Octopus Form. We've seen this like 2 or 3 different times recently. It's pay blue, instant, creature gets +1/+1, gains hexproof until end of turn, untap it. Now, I'm only bringing this up because I think that that's worthwhile, and I think that in, you know, some blue decks, it's a very cheap protection card for your commander and stuff. There is potentially other ones that are better. I think there's one that puts like +1/+1 counters onto something instead and gives that hexproof. But overall, I think it's just kind of worth keeping an eye on. And I think that if you're building a budget deck, it is worthwhile just to have that extra protection there. All right, into our uncommons here, we've got Bitter Work. So this one I find really interesting. So you're paying 1 red and a green. First of all, again, amazing art. I really love it. Whenever you attack with a creature with one or more, whenever you attack a player with 1 or more creatures with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Now, I think that people are potentially underestimating this one, because this is going to be, if you're in a big Gruul deck, right? You're in a big Gruul deck, like my son's got a Rhino deck that this is going to go well in. Even in my Miram deck, I could potentially look at adding this in, because of the fact that if you attack 3 different players, right? You attack 3 players, that is going to be drawing you 3 cards, because whenever you attack a player, not whenever you attack a player or 1 or more players or anything like that, it's whenever you attack a player. So you can draw 3 cards as long as you attack them, each opponent, with a card, with a creature that is power 4 or greater. Now, the good thing about it as well is that it also has exhaust on it. So you can exhaust, pay 4 to earthbend 4, activate only during your turn. So there's certain decks that's going to be great in, because you have spare mana. That's good. And just getting an extra, you know, creature out there is good. But this earthbended land also counts towards your like power 4 or greater creatures, and this one you don't care if it dies as much, right? Because if it dies, it comes back tapped as a land, which is fine, and you can swing it, get an extra card draw. So this is essentially pay 4 to get a creature to swing at someone and draw a card. Personally, I'm a big fan of that. All right, next up, we've got Enter the Avatar State. This one here I think is bonkers. It's going to pay white. You pay 1 white. It's going to give target creature becomes an avatar, because that's apparently how it works. And then they gain flying, first strike, lifelink, and hexproof. So you can use it to protect your creature, or you can use it offensively to swing it over top of someone or give something first strike. You know, this is, I think, just a really amazing white combat trick. Unfortunately, it doesn't buff your power or toughness, but depending on what the deck is, you may not need that. You know, if you've already got a whole bunch of stuff out there, it's going to be worthwhile, like, you know, an equipment-based deck or something like that. Just to pay white to get hexproof, I think is pretty decent. To get on top of that, the, you know, potential combat benefits is great. We got the Foggy Swamp Spirit Keeper here. Interesting enough, apparently this is one card that actually depicts something that is not within Avatar The Last Airbender, right? I don't believe I've seen anything to do with this in Avatar The Last Airbender. It is either within Korra or within the adjacent comics. Either way, that's not really relevant. It's got lifelink, and then whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token with this token can't be blocked or be blocked by non-spirit creatures. So there is a few different things in blue that are whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a, like, you know, a 1/1 flyer or something like that. That's great. You know, flying's great to get additional blockers and stuff, but sometimes you want to use them more offensively. You want to swing them into people. The fact that these can't be blocked, I think, is good. The fact it's a 2/4, I think, is good. And the fact that it's got lifelink, I think, is good as well. Overall, I think this is just a good budget card. We've got Honest Work, and this one's very, very cool. So it's a classic, like honest businessman kind of card. So it's going to a legitimate businessman card. So enchant creature and opponent controls. When the enchantment enters, you're going to tap that creature and remove all counters from it. So this is really great, I think. Like, to be able to use it to remove all counters, I think is great, especially in, you know, in limited when you've got earthbending and stuff going on. Sure, you can use it on someone's land. Boom. Now their land just becomes a 1/1 that can tap for colorless. That's fine. But I do really like the fact that you can use it to just remove all of those counters depending on what someone's deck is. That's going to be insane. Like, for example, if they've got spaceships, right? Or space stations. You use it on their space station. It turns their space station into a 1/1 citizen humble merchant that can tap and add for colorless, but it no longer has any of its other abilities. In fact, anything removes all its abilities, but removing those counters as well, I think, is great. We've got Jody, one of many, and there is just a bunch of different infinites you can do with this. So you're paying black, tapping, surveilling one, create a token, there's a copy of this creature, then sacrifice an artifact or creature, activate only as a sorcery. So if you've got haste out there, right, and you've got a plunder, what is it? A pitiless plunderer. So you're creating a treasure each time a creature of yours dies. You can surveil through your whole deck with this, as long as you've got haste, you pay black, tap it, surveil one, create a token copy of this, then sacrifice the one that you just had. Because a creature died, you're going to create a black, create a treasure, then you can use that treasure to do it again. And you can just get near infinite death triggers. You're going to get that mana as well. And if you've got ways to create additional tokens, that's great too. And you're surveilling through your deck to find your win cons. Honestly, I think that it's good that it just kind of, you know, can self-replicate. We've got Twin Blades. This is pay 3, flash. So you can play this during combat, which works really, really well with firebending. When it enters, attach it to a target creature you control. That creature gains double strike until end of turn. That's the part that I really like. So you can play it during combat. You can pay 3. It comes in, gives something double strike until end of turn and +1/+1. Then you can pay 2 to move it around later on and stuff. But the 3 flash strike gives something double strike, I think, is worthwhile. Double strike +1/+1. All right, and then we've got Zuko's Conviction here. So this is, okay, first of all, it's an instant. I think that's important to note, is this is an instant. So you can play this at instant speed during combat or at someone's end step or whatever. It's going to cost you black. You return a target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. However, if it was kicked, so if you pay 5 in total, you return it to the battlefield tapped instead. Now, again, it is instant speed, but the best thing about this is you can use your firebending mana for it, or any mana during combat, right? To be able to do this at instant speed, as long as you have 1 black mana sitting there, which, you know, if you've got this in your hand, you kind of want to keep that in mind anyway. Or you can use it at someone's end step, or, you know, there's a bunch of different ways you can potentially make use of this. To just return something from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Yes, you are needing to pay 5 to do that, which is rather expensive, but again, instant speed. Usually this is like sorcery speed stuff, and you can utilize so many different ways to reduce this kicker, or, you know, be able to, you know, have the mana for that kicker and stuff. Right, we've got Price of Freedom. This is pay 2. Destroy target artifact, or land, which is important to note, and opponent controls, and then they're going to search the library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle, and then you also will draw a card. So you're removing potentially an opponent's key land, replacing it with a basic that comes in tapped, and then you're also drawing a card to replace this card as well. So it's a great, I think, great removal that also just draws you an additional card, is just, you know, a nice kind of 2-for-1. Again, it's got that lesson synergy. If you want to use it alongside anything that's learn or lesson synergies there, you can, but we're not kind of focusing on that too much. I just think that it is a decent removal spell for an artifact or, you know, a key land. I don't think enough Commander players play land destruction. Maybe I should make a whole video on that. Land destruction, I think, should be played a lot more. Single target land destruction, not mass land destruction. All right, so what are your thoughts, guys? Personally, I think that ATLA has a bunch of really normal, like of the normal generic uncommons and commons with set mechanic, but overall, I think that because they've done that and then they've got, like, you know, lesson there, and because of, you know, the set mechanics overall, I think that they just kind of go a step higher and have that, like, tiny little bit of power creep on top of it that makes it, like, you know, potentially worthwhile for a nice budget or, you know, decent deck. I think that in the future, if Commander does get a sideboard, or with Strixhaven, if we see some new lesson interactions, some of these lessons in the set could go absolutely ham, because Strixhaven was where lessons and the learn mechanic was introduced. Commander can't use the learn mechanic because we don't have a sideboard, but overall, you know, there's a bunch of different ways that they could potentially use this, or we'll see new lesson synergies within that set, which is only, like, you know, a few months away now. But let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys had a wonderful day, and goodbye.